Hey, everybody is looking to find the reason they were given life. It's one of those age-old questions that seems to escape everyone. If you are someone who wants more out of their life and you truly believe there's a greater calling over your life, you are not going to want to miss this episode where I share the 3 myths keeping nearly everyone from finding their true purpose and the one secret that can help you find your purpose 98% faster than studies suggest. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Purpose Project, the podcast that elevates your journey to self-discovery and success. Each week, we dive into the transformative power of purpose across 3 key pillars: performance and achievement, career transitions, and personal transformation. The Purpose Project is not just a podcast, it's your weekly dose of inspiration and guidance. Join us every week as we unravel the secrets of purpose-driven living and follow the show as we embark on a journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and transformation so you can live your life on purpose, not default. Here's your host, author, speaker, purpose coach, and consultant, Jaye Purpose.
Hey, what is going on, good people, and welcome to another episode of the Purpose Project. My name is Jaye Purpose, and I help those who feel like they are called to a greater purpose, find their life's purpose, and design the path to their destiny. I'm an author and a purpose researcher who has spent the last 4 years knee deep in academic case studies and creating frameworks like my 6D method to make the path to purpose as simple as possible. And my mission is to make purpose possible for the masses. But enough about little old me. I've got something special for everybody listening to this particular episode. Now, if you sometimes feel like life's circumstances make living your life's purpose just almost impossible, if you think your purpose is one thing and life moves you in a different direction sometimes, if you are constantly being let down by what you thought was your purpose, and in life this seems to shift in a different direction, if you've ever felt like you are being fulfilled and finally just felt like you were on the right path, and then seems like life just came and stripped it away from you, maybe you feel like you're drained and you're burnt out with your current job. If you feel like you don't belong at your job or even in certain relationships because you're supposed to be somewhere else or doing something different, or maybe you felt like you just know, like you may not be able to explain it, but you just have this feeling in the pit of your stomach that you're here for a specific reason, like you were called to do more than just exist. Like you were meant to make a difference, but you just can't quite put your finger on it. If this sounds anything like you at all, then I am sure, 1000% sure, that it is because you are believing one of these 3 myths that I'm going to share with you today. Now, believing these myths are almost like putting the Great Wall of China around your life's purpose. So it's critical that you're aware of these myths and you know how to get past them. And I can also bet, I'm so confident that I could bet every dollar in my bank account that you're not doing this one secret that I'm going to share with you that I guarantee will tear down this Great Wall of China that I'm explaining, so you can finally see the truth of why you were brought here on this earth. Now, once you start implementing this particular secret into your life, you'll be able to gain clarity around what it is that you were born to do. You'll be able to avoid wandering through life, building someone else's vision, and you'll be able to stop the confusion around your purpose so you can finally find happiness and feel fulfilled with your everyday life and all of the actions that you are taking. But before I dig too deep into these 3 myths and this one secret, I want to tell you about how I figured out what these 3 myths were and how I stumbled upon this particular secret. So it was 2017 and I was a firefighter in the United States Air Force. I was 1 year away from separating from the military. And in my mind, I was just going to serve for 4 years. I was going to get my college degree for free, by the way, and then separate from the military and then go out, get a good job. But here I was in year 3, and I got this email when I got to work one day, and the email said basically, like, it's time to submit your application to reserve your job for the next couple of years after my enlistment was up. So essentially, if you don't wish to continue your service in the military, you have to notify us within the 2 weeks, because if you don't want to stay in the military, then we have to be able to give your job to somebody else when you get out. So essentially, in my mind, I had 4 years, but they're telling me, yeah, you have 4 years to serve, but at year 3, you have to let us know whether or not you're going to stay in. So in my mind, I had a whole nother year to get ready, but that email kind of threw me off. So here I am. Now I'm faced with all these questions around what am I supposed to do next after I get out of the military. Now, in the middle of me thinking this, like what's next, I realized that I was just a few years away from turning 30. My 10-year high school reunion had just came, and I was approaching my 10-year wedding anniversary as well. So now I'm thinking about these things, and even bigger questions are starting to surface in my mind outside of what's going to happen next. So now I'm thinking like, man, all these years have flown by since high school, almost 12, and I've barely even noticed. Like, where did all that time, where did the time go? Like, did I make the most of my time, or had I wasted it? And if I keep going down this particular path, where will I be when I turn 45, 55, 65? And do I even like this particular path that I'm on and where it's taking me? And then the biggest question of all hit me, and it was, is this the path that I am destined to be on? And is it in harmony with my purpose, the reason for me being here on this earth? And better yet, what is it that I was brought here to do? Now, the thing is, I have been spending so much time just adjusting to being in the military, on top of me being a father and a husband, and just, going along in my everyday routine, that I didn't even realize that over a decade had flew by. Over a decade without me even noticing. I realized I was just drifting by all those years. I wasn't paying any attention to what was really going on in my life and inside, like in my heart. I was just going with the flow and accepting what life was sending my way. I was wondering, just looking forward to the next weekend so I could escape from all the work that had went on during the week. So I ended up making a decision to serve for an additional 6 years in the military. This was at year 3. And at this time, I would just go all in for the entire 6 years. I would dedicate myself to figuring out what my purpose was, to making sure that when that email came the next time, when they was telling me, hey, are you going to decide to stay in or get out, that I would be ready. I would be ready to live my life on purpose and not on somebody else's terms. But here was the thing. So now I had made the decision to stay in, but I felt stuck. Like I felt stuck in this position. Why? Because I had absolutely no clue. I had no idea how to go about figuring out my purpose, figuring out why I was here, figuring out what I was brought here to do, figuring out what it is that I really wanted. And then does what I really want align with why I was here? Like I had no clue how to go about that. So I tried everything. I tried everything I can get my hands and my ears on. I listened to sermons. I called particular experts at certain universities that I had access to. I tried prayers. I did different exercises. I did meditation techniques. How some people say, pursue your passions, pursue what it is that you love to do. I tried all different types of things. But here's the biggest kicker. I spent the next 2.5 years after that reading over 100 different case studies in academic journals, like real nerd type stuff, just full of different empirical evidence around the topic of purpose in life. Like, I literally did everything. And after a few years of little to no progress, at least what felt like little to no progress, I had learned so many different things about purpose in general, and how it impacts our everyday life, and how it impacts how we see our lives, how it impacts our energy, and how we use our resources, and so many different things. But I hadn't found the clarity and the direction that I was looking for. I hadn't found the clarity on why I was here and the direction on what I was supposed to be doing with my life. I was sick of hearing the people tell me, just follow your passion, or, we're only brought here to this earth to exist. Or the worst one, I don't really buy into the whole, we all have a purpose type thing. I couldn't stand when I heard that. And then it was almost as if by chance I had this big breakthrough. I came across a video that let me in on this little secret about journaling and the power behind journaling as a tool for self-reflection and self-discovery. So it took me a little while to really settle into this idea because, I'm a guy. Guys don't journal, right? So, but I had given so many other things to try and nothing was working. So I thought, why not just try it at least? And after a few months of trying this particular journaling technique, it became crystal clear to me how to go about using journaling to pull out everything that was already inside of me so that I could reveal what my life's purpose was. Now, this meant that I could finally stop feeling so lost and confused about what I was supposed to be doing with my life, and I could be confident about planning my life in harmony with God's plan for my life. That was so huge for me. Now, my plan was to start journaling every single day around everything I had learned all these years prior when I was doing all this study, all this research, trying all these different techniques. And I remember it was January 1st, 2020, on New Year's Day, and that was when I started. A few months later, I remember specifically being at my desk around 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was going through one of these particular exercises that I had came across when I first started on my journey, just kind of spinning my wheels. And the first time I had gone through this years prior to this moment at 2 o'clock in the morning, I remember just feeling kind of lost about it. But this time, after I went through this exercise, everything hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, there was so much clarity around my purpose, around why I was here, that came from this one particular exercise. But I had to go through this phase of pulling all these things outside of me before the clarity came to me. It was almost like, I wear glasses, so it was almost like the first time I got glasses, like I could just see everything exactly how it was supposed to be and exactly what I was supposed to do and why I was brought here. But I didn't just stop there at that moment, right? I decided to go through the exact same steps and processes that I had just gone through to find the clarity that I was looking for. I decided to go through that same process with my family and a couple of other people that were close to us. So I taught them everything that I had learned from all those years of what I felt like was just spinning my wheels. And I walked them through this particular journaling technique and all the exercises that I had learned. And the great thing was they got the exact same result that I did. So after that, it just hit me like out of nowhere. I need to put all this information into a book. Now, the strange thing is I don't even like writing. Like, I'm not I'm not a writer at all. I remember in high school, I absolutely hated writing. In college, I hated writing. I'm still not a huge writer, but I enjoy it a little bit because it's kind of therapeutic, right? But I hated writing, but still I had this strange urge to just put everything into a book. Like I could not get rid of the idea and this image of having what I had just put together into an entire framework in a written format. Because books last forever, right? So I took all that I had learned from the science, from the case studies, from the academic journals, going back nearly 100 years and combining it with the exercises and the journaling techniques that I had used while I was finding my life's purpose and helping others do the same. And I put it together in a framework, and I put that framework into a book. And the book is called How to Live Longer, Healthier, and Wealthier. And while I was putting that framework together, these 3 myths came to me. And the secret, of course, was revealed inside of the book as well. So that's the story about how I got to these 3 myths and the secret. They came from years of me doing research, years of me going through what felt like at the time, spinning my wheels, trying to find out why I was here and what I was supposed to do after I got out of the military. And now I'm just doing my best to serve that information to other people so they can have the same revelation that I had. So now that you understand where I'm coming from, let's get into these 3 myths and the 1 secret. All right, so you guys ready? I hope you're ready. And let me just say before I start, I hope you got some notes. I hope you have something to write with. I hope you write these 3 myths down. Write the secret down too, because there's a quote that says, "The shortest stroke of a pen is longer than the longest memory." And that's a fancy way to just say that whatever you write down lasts longer than whatever you believe you can remember. So make sure you're taking notes. I always say note takers are change makers. So make sure you take a note and write these 3 myths down. All right, here's the first one. The first one is that purpose is something you're supposed to do. Now, this is huge because almost anytime you hear somebody talking about, I'm trying to find myself, I'm trying to figure out why I was here, why I was brought here, it's almost always revolving around what is it that I'm supposed to be doing. Now, I know a story of a young female who was going down this journey and trying to find out why she was brought here. And she started a particular class. And while she was teaching this class, in her mind, she was finding purpose from delivering this class. So she's saying to myself, hey, I'm finally here. I finally got to that point where I know what it is I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm actually doing it on top of that. And I'm getting so much fulfillment, so much happiness. People are coming to me and they're telling me, hey, thank you for putting this together because I needed exactly what you are doing. And that was the confirmation that they felt like they needed to know, hey, I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right path. So a few months go by and she happens to get injured. Now the injury was so bad that she couldn't continue to teach her class. Now, after going through this whole internal dialogue of, hey, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm finally happy, finally feeling fulfilled, finally making a little money from doing it. And all of a sudden, something happens in your life that completely strips that momentum from you. And you feel like, God, why after I've gone through this entire process of figuring out why I was here, going through so many failures, going through facing so many challenges and overcoming, and then finally getting to this one moment where I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And then all of a sudden it just gets stripped away from me. And in that moment, she felt like maybe what I was doing isn't my purpose. Maybe that's not why I was brought here. Maybe it's something else. Because Why would the injury happen? Right, like just as I was beginning to gain momentum and really feel confident in what I was doing. And I can almost guarantee that you know someone or you've gone through something similar to this, where you may have felt like you were gaining momentum, like you were finally doing the one thing that you were brought here to do. And then something that's happened in your life that almost felt like it stripped away what you felt like you were called to do. And especially with COVID happening just a few years ago, there were so many careers, so many businesses, and even lives that were just taken away from people who I bet they thought, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. But now I can't do it. So where do I get my sense of purpose from? And if that wasn't it, then why am I truly here? Like if I wasn't brought here to do something, then what is it that I was brought here to do? Or what could it be if it's not if it's not an action that I'm supposed to take? And a lot of times, like, this isn't something that's new or novel. Most people associate their life's purpose with something that we can, number one, achieve, or number two, receive. It's a career, it's a home, it's having a family, it's getting that degree, or it's being able to do what I'm passionate about. It could be so many things that we give over that title of purpose to. But no, one of the biggest myths that everybody believes is that your purpose is something that you are supposed to do. Now, I know you're saying, Jay, if my purpose is not to do a specific task, then what would my purpose be? Okay, here's the truth about the matter. The truth is that we can find purpose in 3 different places, but only one of them is true to who we are. So I mentioned activity and I kind of mentioned property, but here's the 3. The first place that we can place purpose is our identity. All right, and who we are and who it is that we're becoming. The second place that we can find purpose is in our activity. That's the things that we do. The third place that we can find purpose is in our property, the possessions that we own. Now, some people choose to place their purpose in property, right? The things that they own. They want to have a house. They want to have a new car. They want to have A, B, or C, and they find purpose in these particular items. With the activity, it can be a job, it can be a career, or it can be teaching the class, like I just mentioned for this young lady. Here's the thing about those. Those things can be taken away from you, right? Your job can be taken away from you. Your career can be taken away from you with an injury. A home can be taken away from you. It passes. Like, these are things that do not deserve to have the title of purpose for a specific reason, because they can be taken away from you. Now, purpose is eternal, purpose is everlasting, and your purpose can never be taken away from you because it exists on the inside of you. This is why your purpose absolutely, positively must be associated with who you are, not what you do or what you own. All right, I don't want to go too deep into this, but I hope you're catching this, right? The myth is your purpose, the reason for you being brought here is so that you can do a particular act, so you can accomplish a specific task. That's the myth. The truth is your purpose is who you are, not what you do. You have to find purpose in who you are and who you are becoming, right? It needs to be, I am becoming a teacher. It needs to be, I am becoming, or even I am a, and then you fill in the blank. Not, I finally get to do ABC. Not, I finally get to have my dream XYZ. It needs to be, I finally have become blank, right? Nobody can take your identity from you. Your purpose will last. Your purpose will serve you, and you can still have the same type and level of fulfillment that you can get from something that you do or a possession that you own if you place your purpose in the right location, which is identity. All right, now on to myth number 2. All right, now here's the second myth. Now, I hope you took notes on the first one. Remember, the first one was your purpose is not something that you do. It is who you are. All right, here's the second one. Is that your purpose changes as you change. Now, I can almost guarantee that you've heard somebody say this before. Hey, yeah, but your purpose changes. Yeah, but as you change and grow in life, your purpose will also evolve and it will adjust and change. Let's say you have children, which you may, and if you do, cool, it'll be easier for you to imagine with me. But let's say you don't, and use your imagination. Let's say you send your kids to the store to pick up some flu medicine because you're sick. So you give your kid the money, you say, hey, go to the store, pick up some flu medicine, bring it back to me so I can take it. But the store that you tell them to go to is closed. Now here's the question. Does the reason that you sent them on the trip change? Now, looking at an incident like this that isn't huge, or something that we feel so close to, it's easy to say, well, no, of course, the whole point of us sending them out was to pick up the flu medicine. Just because that particular store is closed and they had to go to a different store doesn't change the reason for us sending them to go and pick up something for us. The purpose is still the same. Their particular reason does not adjust as they adjust and move throughout their mission. And the same is true for you. And I know you probably had situations where you felt like you were finally doing good, like things were finally going in your way, and you were being able to start that positive momentum for you, where you loved what you were doing, and something came in and just took your feet out from under you. Things began to shift in a different direction, and your life began to take a turn. And the only explanation that seemed logical to explain the situation is, well, I must be brought here for a different reason. Kind of like I mentioned with the last story. I must be brought here to do something else if it wasn't that. And it just becomes easy to believe that, hey, maybe my purpose does change. Because our situation may sometimes appear like that. But here's the truth. Just like in the story, your purpose does not change. It does not adjust as you go through life, as you evolve into a different person, as you change into a better person, right? As you adjust and change your beliefs and your value system, your purpose doesn't change. The reason that you were brought here to this earth is the exact same. All right, here's the truth about the matter. There are 7 different elements. Remember, if you're taking notes, be sure you take notes when I throw these numbers out at you. There's 7 different elements associated with your destiny. Here they are. The first is your purpose, right? Now we're going to separate that from the rest of these 6. Here's the other 6. It's your gifts. It's your calling. It's the unique value that you bring to this earth. And then it's your passion. It's your pains, and it's your production. Now you have those 6, and then you have your purpose, completely different. Understand that, and remember, here's the truth. All right, don't be fooled by what society is telling you. Here is the truth. Your purpose is static. Your purpose was brought here before you, and it was born before you were. Now here's what I mean. If you think about this, look around the room that you're in right now. If you're driving, look around the car. Wherever you are while you're listening to this, or if you're walking outside, look around outside. Anything that you can place your eyes on, the purpose for it being here existed before that particular thing. The microphone that I'm using right now, there was a reason that somebody wanted to create it, and that reason existed before the microphone. The purpose of a thing has to exist before it is created. All right, let me say that again. I hope it's making sense to you. The purpose of anything, whether it's a person or an inanimate object, the purpose of it has to be created before it is brought into creation. If there was no purpose for it, then it would never become. Why? Because there was no reason for it to be here in the first place. Smartphones were invented for a reason, and that reason existed before the smartphone came into play. Now, just because smartphones may change throughout time doesn't mean that the purpose for smartphones changes. I'm looking at two computer screens. Computer screens have completely evolved since they were brought into existence. Does not mean that as they change and they evolve that their purpose changes. They still serve the exact same purpose. And it is the exact same with you and your purpose. Your purpose existed before you. God created it before you were brought here into this earth. And guess what? When you go throughout life, your purpose was the same when you were a kid. Your purpose was the same when you were an adult. Your purpose is going to be the same in your older age. It's going to be the same as your values change, as your beliefs change, as you change. Your purpose is going to stay the same. It does not change. The only thing that changes is your perspective about what your purpose is and about why you were brought here. But your true purpose stays the same. Now, those other 6 elements of your destiny that I mentioned change, all of them. Your passions can change. The unique value that you bring can change. Your calling can change. Your calling does change, and you can have more than one calling. Your gifts can adjust and change and grow. The things that you produce in this world can change and grow. All those 6 items change, but your purpose stays the same. Now, Bruce Lee has a quote where he says, "Be formless, shapeless, like water. If you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. If you put water into a bottle, it becomes a bottle. If you put tea into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Water can flow or it can crash." Then he says, "Be water, my friend." Now the point is this: the other 6 elements are like water, right? Whatever you put them into, whatever shape or form you need them to become for you to have success in this particular season of your life, they will adjust and they will take the shape that you want them to take. But your purpose is static. It does not change. It is not water. It stays the same. And this is huge for your perspective as you understand what your purpose is and how it operates in your life. So remember, myth number 1 was that your purpose is something that you do. The truth was your purpose is who you are and who you are becoming. Myth number 2 was that your purpose changes as you change and go throughout life and learn new things and become a different person. The truth is your purpose does not change. Your purpose stays the same. Only our perspective of our purpose changes. All right, now on to myth number 3. Okay, so myth number 3, here it is. Remember to take notes because note takers are change makers. Myth number 3 is that you need to find your purpose. Let me say it again. Myth number 3 is that you need to find your purpose. Now I know you're like, what are you talking about? Stay with me. When I was 10 years old, I remember I lost a $20 bill. Now when you're 10, $20 is a whole lot of money. My grandma gave me that $20. So it like added value to it. I remember looking all over my room and I completely ripped my room apart looking for this $20 bill. And I could not find it anywhere. Like my emotions started going all over the place. I remember being sad one second, angry another second, throwing clothes everywhere, throwing shoes all over the place, messing up the bed, just trying to figure out where this $20 bill was at. I knew I had it. I knew nobody in the house would take it. The question was, where was the $20 bill? Now, I looked all over, not only in my room, I started to look all over the house because I'm like, it has to be in this house. I know it's in this house somewhere. Now, here's my point. I believe that when something is lost and we begin to look for it, when we tell ourselves that we need to find something, it's almost like an internal trigger that we have to look externally to find it. So I lost $20 bill, of course I'll look on the outside. But I mentioned the story when I first started the show today, and I said, kind of talked about my struggle with my journey of finding my purpose. And I said, I was looking everywhere. I tried this, I tried that, I talked to this person. And the issue with saying that you need to find your purpose, and the reason it's not true, is because when we tell ourselves that something is lost, we'll look everywhere externally. We look everywhere outside of ourselves. We look everywhere except for the one place that our purpose exists. And that is inside of you. And that's one of the reasons why it's so difficult for so many people to, quote unquote, find your purpose. I know you're like, it's just a play on semantics, but you got to think about this. How many people do you know that can say, I've actually found my purpose, that I'm living in my purpose, and I'm genuinely happy that I'm here? And I bet it's difficult for you to name just one person. Why? Because culturally, it's been accepted that we need to, quote unquote, find our purpose. And it seems so true, because how many people do you know that's found your purpose, or that's found their purpose? So it almost seems like this elusive mystery that nobody can grasp. And it's because they're looking in the wrong place. But why are they looking in the wrong place? Because they're telling themselves that they need to find their purpose. And naturally, when we tell ourselves that we need to find something, we're going to look everywhere outside of ourselves. And that's the one place, or I guess many technically, that your purpose isn't. It just isn't. It isn't anywhere outside of you. It isn't external. Purpose is internal. And when you tell yourself that instead you need to reveal your purpose, that you haven't lost your purpose, that you haven't misplaced it, you don't have to go start searching for it somewhere outside of you. Purpose isn't found. Purpose is revealed. It's pulled out of yourself. It's taken from within. It's already inside of you. You don't go looking for it outside of yourself. You pull it from within. And that was such a perspective changer for me in my journey, understanding that purpose is internal and not external. And just stopping completely, saying to myself, I need to find purpose. I need to find purpose. Where is it? Where do I look? How do I find it? Instead of saying, how do I reveal my purpose? It changes the entire dynamic of your search and of your journey, and it can put you on the right path. So let's go over the 3 myths again. Myth number 1 was that purpose is something you do. Purpose is not something you do. Remember, purpose can be in 1 of 3 places. It can be in your identity, it can be in your property, or it can be in your activity. And it needs to be in the one place where nobody can touch it, where nobody can change it, where nobody can take it away from you. And that is your identity. Purpose isn't something you do, it's who you are. Number 2 is that your purpose changes as you change. Remember, purpose does not change. Purpose stays the same. Now, remember, there's 7 different elements associated with your destiny. One of them is purpose. That's the only one that's static, that actually stays the same. The other 6 change. The other 6 are, if you haven't taken notes, take it now. The other 6 are your gifts, your calling, your unique value, your passions, your pains, and your production. Those 6 change. Your passions can change. Your gifts can change. You will have more than one calling, but your purpose stays the same. Myth number 3 is that you need to find your purpose. You don't find your purpose. Why? Because it's not outside of you. You're not going to look anywhere outside of you to find it. You have to pull it out from within. Your purpose is revealed. Your purpose is unveiled, but it is not found. And I just want to say really quick to those of you who are like, well, I know you say find your purpose all the time. I say find your purpose for marketing reasons, because I have to meet you guys where you are. If I come to you, say you need to reveal your purpose, or who wants to unveil their purpose, you're like, what in the world? When I say find your purpose, it makes sense to you. You can understand it. But those who come inside of my world, the people that I teach my frameworks to, know and understand that you don't find your purpose, you reveal your purpose. So those are the 3 myths. Now here is the one secret. All right, good people, here is the one secret. And before I get into it, I definitely want to say I hope this is giving you value, because I really wish somebody had told me these things when I started on my journey, because it would have shaved so much time. Like, I could have stopped looking in the wrong places. I could have stopped placing my purpose in the wrong positions that weren't serving me and were making the journey more difficult for me, had I just understood these 3 things, and especially use the secret that I'm about to tell you. I want to tell you the secret up front, and you're going to be like, what? And then when I explain it to you, it'll make a lot more sense. Here it is. The secret is that you need to document time spent in reflection so you can see your reflection. Now let me explain. The only way to reveal your purpose, 98% faster than studies suggest, is to spend time every single day for a specific amount of time in reflection. When you look into a mirror, it reveals your physical reflection. And in your physical reflection, you can see certain characteristics about your body, right? You can see your eye color, your skin color, you can see your hair color, you can see the shape of your body, you can see all of the small imperfections that you don't agree with. You can see what clothes you have on. You can see the things that you do like. You can see how long your hair is. You can see if you're well put together, or if your image presents something that you don't really agree with and you want to adjust and you want to change, right? And we all can agree with that because we've looked into a mirror before. But what if you could see the reflection of not just your physical body, but you can also see the reflection of your spirit, like that invisible part of us that we can't see? And that particular reflection, the reflection of our spirit, revealed all of our spiritual characteristics, such as your calling, your gifts, your passion, your pain, right? Those 6 elements that I mentioned earlier. And of course, what if that reflection revealed your purpose, right? All those elements of your destiny. And that is the big secret that nobody knows, nobody understands. It's that the more time you spend in reflection of yourself and of who you are, the easier it is to see your spirit, which is where your purpose is. The more time you spend in reflection, in particular, when you document that time spent in reflection, the documentation creates almost like a mirror of your spirit. And if your spirit holds all those elements of your destiny that I mentioned earlier, including your purpose, then once you put that mirror together, once you can see that reflection clearly, then it becomes easy to see all those elements of your destiny, including your purpose, which is the reason why you were brought here. So when you learn how to spend time in reflection and do it in a particular way, then you will reveal, right? You will reveal your purpose. Like I said, you don't look externally, you pull it out from within. And that reflection will help you do that. And the best way that I found to go through that period of reflection is the journaling that I mentioned earlier. And you do it for a specific reason, and that is it allows you to document your thoughts, right? If you do any other form of reflection, you can't go back and look at it. It's the documentation that allows you to go back and dig through your thoughts and find the clarity that you seek about why you're here. If you don't document it, then you can't go back and actually look in the mirror, right? It's the documentation that creates the reflection that allows you to be able to see all those elements that embody your destiny. And that's why I had so much difficulty as I was going through the process for a couple of years, is because, yes, I'm doing all this work, but all this self-work, I call it the work. Byron Katie also calls it the work. Hers is a little bit different, but I was going through the work of finding my purpose, but because it wasn't documented, I couldn't actually look at the reflection and be able to see the 7 elements. So it wasn't until I found out how to use journaling and then use it in a specific way that made sure I pulled out all of the things that I needed to be able to see my reflection and help me reveal my purpose. Not find, right? Because semantics. They helped me to be able to reveal my purpose. And that was the biggest problem. It was that I was prolonging my pursuit towards my purpose because I just wasn't willing to sit down alone, right? In a quiet and safe place and reflect and journal in a simple way. Mainly because, like I said before, writing isn't really my strong suit, but I know how to do it, right? We all know how to write, but it just wasn't my strong suit. But it is the simplest and easiest and most effective way to reveal yourself enough to be able to pull out your purpose from within. So that is the big secret. It is that you need to document. I'm saying it again, it'll probably make a little more sense this time. You need to document time spent in reflection. That's the big secret. And if you do it with journaling, it'll change everything for you. Because the journaling is what allows you to document and build that mirror so that you can see your spirit, which holds all the elements of your destiny, including your purpose. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what I just gave you. Again, make sure you take the notes, write it down. I know you hear me talk about it. If you're driving, if you're walking, if you're busy, come back to it later and take the notes, because the notes are going to give you a different level of understanding. When you hear it and you're able to write it, that's kinesthetic, and you're able to see it visually after you write it, it has hit you in a different way, and it'll stick with you in a different way as well. So remember, note takers are change makers. And if you want to see a change in your life, write this stuff down. So remember, myth number 1 is that purpose is what you do. Remember, it's not what you do, it's who you are. Myth number 2 is that purpose changes as you change. And remember, purpose does not change. It stays the same. But the other 6 elements do change. Myth number 3 is that you need to find your purpose. You need to stop telling yourself that, so that you stop looking in the wrong place and you start looking within, which is where your purpose is. And then the big secret is that you need to you need to document time spent in reflection, preferably through journaling, so that you can have the material that you need to be able to reveal your purpose. That's the big secret. I'm telling you, that changed everything for me. You have to document the time that you spend in reflection. Number one, you have to be willing to spend time in reflection. And number two, you have to document it. And when you do those two things, it changes everything. It's like the secret sauce. I promise you, it literally changed my life. So those are the 3 myths and the 1 secret. Again, I hope it served you. I know it can serve you and do well for you. Yeah, hope you found value in that. Here we are with this week's challenge. If this is your first time listening to an episode, I love giving out a challenge after I give the material, just to get you in action, to get you moving, to get you a little bit of momentum in a positive direction. Now, after I've just told you that journaling, in particular, well, let me say, after I've just told you that documenting time spent in reflection, and preferably doing it journaling, is the big secret to being able to reveal what your purpose is, I'd be kind of remiss if I didn't challenge you to actually put the pen to the paper, even if it is in just a small way. So I challenge you to take a look at these 3 myths that I just kind of spelled out for you and ask yourself, do any of these myths resonate with you? Have you believed in any of these myths in the past? Or maybe you still believe in some of these myths right now. I challenge you to ask yourself, how do you feel about them after listening to this episode? Do you still believe that your purpose changes? Do you believe that it is something that you're supposed to do? Like, challenge yourself. Keep it simple. Just take out a simple piece of paper and write out your thoughts. No need to make it complex. No need to go through, I need to have a specific type of journal. How do I journal? Just take out a piece of paper, any piece of paper. Grab something to write with and put the writing utensil, doesn't have to be a pen. Put the writing utensil to the paper and just write out your thoughts about the myths and the secret and see what comes out. All right, now in closing, I just want to say, hey, again, I hope that this value provided you with, that this episode provided you with a ton of value, and it can serve you and help you to get to your purpose quicker, right? It can help you get there faster and eliminate some of the pitfalls and kind of chasing your tail that I had to go through, right? Hopefully you don't have to go through that because you're listening to what I'm telling you, and of course you're taking notes. And of course, if you want to go deeper into what I'm talking about, I talked about the 6 elements. I talked about my 6D framework a little bit. I talked about a few different things during this episode. If you want to go deeper into this and its entire process, you want to go into how I journal, the specific process that I use to be able to pull my purpose out. Or if you want to get my entire framework for how to find your purpose, check out the link in the show notes. You can get access to my book, How to Live Longer, Healthier, and Wealthier. It's a complete guide to helping you discover your purpose and unlock unlimited potential for your life. It's a great place to start for anybody who's wanting to find a purpose, but is kind of stuck on what should I do first. Go get the book. Go to the website that's in the show notes. I believe it should be www.thepurposepad.com/LTO. Lima Tango Oscar. Purposepad.com/LTO. Go and check that out. If you can't get access to the show notes right now, the book is extremely affordable. I believe I'm giving a whole package away. The book and workshops and all sorts of bonuses for like $5. I don't know how long I'm going to keep it at $5, but for right now it is just $5, which is ridiculous. Go check out the book. I promise you it will serve you, especially if you want to get deeper into this and you want to be able to get on your path to purpose in a quicker more efficient and easier way. I really have the entire framework just mapped out for you. So also, thank you for listening today. Listen to this a couple more times. Not for me, but for you. The more you listen to it, there's a quote that says, we often need to be reminded. No, it's we need to be reminded more often than we need to be taught. There you go. We need to be reminded more often than we need to be taught. So listen to this a few times over so that you can be reminded. And lastly, as always, make sure you leave this episode with the goal, with the desire, with the intent to live on purpose and not on default, right? Don't just drift through life. Don't wander through life. Live on purpose and not default. All right. Cheers to a purposeful life. And I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for tuning in to The Purpose Project. We hope this episode provided value for you and moved you one step closer to a purpose-driven life. Be sure to check out the show notes for any important links and resources for your pursuit toward a life full of meaning. One thing that would help the show tremendously is to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review, letting Jay and everyone else know what you think of the show, so we can better serve you. And if there's anybody that you know who could benefit from this podcast, make sure to give them a nudge in our direction. As always, live on purpose, not default. We'll see you next time.